Today, we're diving into a side of 1960s music that many people forget. Those classic songs we still hear on the radio today did not always arrive quietly. Some sparked outrage, bans, and even investigations when they first appeared.
Walk me down to school, baby.
Long before social media or online moderation systems existed, these songs were already pushing cultural boundaries. From lyrics that shocked television audiences to songs banned by major broadcasters. The decade produced some truly controversial hits. The real question is this: if these songs were released today, would they even make it past modern moderation filters? Number 15. I Am the Walrus by the Beatles. When the Beatles released I Am the Walrus in 1967, listeners were puzzled by its strange lyrics. The song is filled with bizarre imagery, playful nonsense, and lines that seem deliberately confusing. John Lennon later explained he wrote the lyrics to frustrate people who try to analyze Beatles songs too seriously. Some broadcasters were not amused. The BBC reportedly objected to a lyric referencing a pornographic priestess, which led to limited airplay. In today's digital environment, lyrics like these might trigger automated moderation systems designed to flag questionable phrases. I'm crying. While that song confused listeners with surreal imagery, the next one shocked audiences with a far more direct message. Number 14. Let's Spend the Night Together by the Rolling Stones. In 1967, the Rolling Stones released a song whose title alone caused controversy. Let's Spend the Night Together openly suggested romantic intimacy, something that television producers believed was far too bold for mainstream audiences. The tension reached a peak when the band appeared on The Ed Sullivan Show. Producers demanded that Mick Jagger change the lyric to "Let's spend some time together" to avoid offending viewers. Jagger reluctantly complied, but famously rolled his eyes each time he sang the altered line. The exaggerated reaction turned the moment into one of the most memorable acts of playful defiance in television history. From television censorship, we move to a song that challenged deep social divisions.
She called you boy instead of your name.
Number 13. Society's Child by Janis Ian.
Walk me down to school, baby.
Janis Ian was only 14 years old when she wrote Society's Child.
She says I can't see you anymore.
Powerful song about interracial dating during the 1960s. The lyrics describe a young couple facing pressure and judgment from a society unwilling to accept their relationship.
Now I could understand your tears and your shame.
Because of its subject, many radio stations refused to play the song when it was first released. The topic made broadcasters nervous during a time when civil rights tensions were still dividing the country.
When she turned and said, but honey, he's not out.
Despite those barriers, the song eventually reached a wider audience after Ian delivered a powerful national television performance. The next song on our list stirred controversy for an entirely different reason. Number 12. Run for Your Life by the Beatles. Run for Your Life, released by the Beatles in 1965, contains one of the most shocking opening lines in the group's catalog. The song begins with a threat, suggesting the singer would rather see his partner dead than with another man. At the time, many listeners did not question the lyric. Years later, John Lennon admitted that he disliked the song and regretted writing those words. The line was loosely inspired by an earlier blues lyric, but its possessive and violent tone has made the track controversial in modern discussions of the Beatles' music. And that leads directly into a song that became an anthem of youthful rebellion.
My whole life trying just to make you toe the line. You better
Number 11, My Generation by The Who.
People try to put us down.
When The Who released My Generation in 1965, it quickly became a rallying cry for teenagers who felt misunderstood by the older generation. The line, "Hope I die before I get old," shocked many adults who believed it encouraged reckless attitudes and disrespect toward traditional values. Even the song's famous stuttering vocal delivery sparked debate. Some critics believed it mocked authority, while others thought it captured the frustration of young people struggling to find their voice. Instead of damaging the band's reputation, the controversy helped turn the song into one of the defining youth anthems of the 1960s. Coming up next is a song so controversial that it triggered an investigation by the Federal Bureau of Investigation. Number 10, Louie Louie by the Kingsmen. Few songs in rock history created as much confusion as Louie Louie. Released by the Kingsmen in 1963, the recording featured vocals so garbled that listeners struggled to understand the lyrics. Teenagers across the country began circulating handwritten sheets claiming to reveal the song's real lyrics, many of which were extremely obscene. Rumors spread so widely that the controversy eventually caught the attention of authorities. The Federal Bureau of Investigation opened an inquiry to determine whether the record violated obscenity laws. After months of analysis, investigators concluded that the lyrics were simply too difficult to understand. That unusual investigation makes the next song's radio ban seem almost predictable. Number 9, 8 Miles High by the Byrds. When the Byrds released 8 Miles High in 1966, many radio stations refused to play it almost immediately. Program directors believed the song contained hidden references to drug use. The title itself raised suspicion, since the word high was widely associated with psychedelic substances during the decade. The swirling guitar sound only strengthened those assumptions. However, the band insisted the song was inspired by their first trip to England and the strange feeling of international travel. Despite those explanations, several stations blacklisted the song entirely. Do you think songs like this would still be banned today? If you agree, comment yes below. And speaking of songs that shocked audiences, the next entry pushed rock music into even more explosive territory. Number 8, Kick Out the Jams by MC5. By the late 1960s, rock music had grown louder and more aggressive. Few songs captured that energy better than Kick Out the Jams by MC5. The song begins with a raw introduction that includes a profanity shouted to excite the crowd. That moment was enough to trigger immediate backlash. Some record stores refused to sell the album, and several radio stations banned the track because of its language. The controversy only fueled the band's reputation as one of the most rebellious acts of the era. Moments like this showed how quickly one line could push a song beyond what broadcasters would tolerate. The next song on our list sparked debate for a very different reason. Number 7, Lucy in the Sky with Diamonds by the Beatles. When the Beatles released Lucy in the Sky with Diamonds in 1967, the BBC quickly banned it from the airwaves. Many believed the song secretly referenced the psychedelic drug LSD. The suspicion came from the first letters of the title, which spell the initials of the drug. Combined with the song's dreamlike imagery, critics were convinced the reference was intentional. John Lennon insisted the title came from a drawing his son Julian made of a classmate. Oh, by the way, I will be posting more videos like this, so please like, subscribe, and turn on the bell so you don't miss the next video. Okay, on to the next. Even today, debate about the song's meaning continues. Number 6, Under My Thumb by the Rolling Stones.
Under my thumb, a girl who has just...
Under My Thumb, released by the Rolling Stones in 1966, tells the story of a man claiming control over a woman who once had power over him. Even during the 1960s, some listeners felt the lyrics were troubling.
Under my thumb.
Critics argued that the song celebrated dominance and humiliation in relationships.
The change has come, she's under my thumb.
Over the years, the track has continued to spark debate about whether it reflects the attitudes of its time or promotes misogyny.
Under my thumb, Siamese.
Despite the controversy, the song became one of the band's most recognizable recordings. But the next entry on our countdown would cause an even more dramatic confrontation on national television. Number 5, Light My Fire by The Doors. When The Doors performed Light My Fire on The Ed Sullivan Show in 1967, television producers had one clear request. They asked the band to change a lyric that referenced getting higher, fearing it could be interpreted as a drug reference. The band appeared to agree during rehearsals, but when the live broadcast began, Jim Morrison sang the original lyric anyway. Producers were furious. Shortly after the performance, the band was informed that they would never be invited back to the program. Moments like this captured the rebellious spirit of late 1960s rock. And that spirit of controversy becomes even more intense in the next song. Number 4, Brown Sugar by the Rolling Stones.
Brown sugar, just like a young girl should now.
Brown Sugar, recorded near the end of the 1960s and released shortly afterward, became one of the Rolling Stones' biggest hits. But the lyrics have also generated debate for decades. The song references slavery, exploitation, and racial themes in ways that many listeners have found uncomfortable. Over time, Critics questioned whether the song was intended as social commentary or simply provocative storytelling. In recent years, even members of the band have acknowledged the controversy surrounding the lyrics. Are you enjoying this video? If you are, please hit the like button. I'd sincerely appreciate it. As we move closer to the top of the list, the next song proves that political messages could also trigger bands.
We're on the eve of destruction.
Number 3, Eve of Destruction by Barry McGuire.
My friend, I don't believe we're all...
In 1965, Barry McGuire released Eve of Destruction, one of the most direct protest songs of the decade. The lyrics openly addressed nuclear war fears, civil rights struggles, and the escalating conflict in Vietnam.
Don't you understand what I'm trying to say? Can't you?
The blunt message made many broadcasters nervous. Several radio networks refused to play the song, believing its lyrics were too political and controversial.
If the button is pushed, there's no running away. There'll be no one.
Ironically, the band's only increased public curiosity. Despite the backlash, the record quickly climbed the charts and reached the top position.
Take a look around you, boy. It's bound to scare you, boy, and you.
The song captured the anxiety many people felt during a turbulent era. Yet the next song faced criticism for something far more subtle.
Let me take you down, 'cause I'm going to.
Number 2, A Day in the Life by the Beatles.
Strawberry fields forever.
A Day in the Life, released by the Beatles in 1967, is widely considered one of the greatest songs ever recorded. However, it also faced censorship shortly after its release. The BBC banned the track because they believed a lyric about turning on referenced drug use.
Yes, but it's all wrong. That is, I think.
At the time, authorities were increasingly concerned about music influencing youth culture. The band denied that interpretation, explaining the lyric referred to becoming aware or inspired.
Let me take you down, 'cause I'm going to.
Despite the ban, the song's reputation only grew stronger over time. Critics and fans alike now praise its groundbreaking structure and orchestral climax.
Misunderstanding all you see.
And that brings us to the most explosive entry on our list. Number 1, Street Fighting Man by the Rolling Stones. Released in 1968, Street Fighting Man arrived during one of the most turbulent political moments of the decade. Across the United States, protests and demonstrations were erupting over war and civil rights. When the song appeared, some radio stations feared its lyrics might encourage unrest. In Chicago, several stations banned the track entirely following violent clashes during the Democratic National Convention protests. The timing made the song feel almost like a soundtrack to the growing tensions of the era. Rather than fading away, the track became one of the most famous protest anthems in rock history. Its controversy perfectly reflects how powerful music can become during moments of social upheaval. The 1960s were a time when music pushed cultural boundaries in ways that still echo today. Many of the songs on this list were banned, censored, or investigated when they were first released. Yet, decades later, many of them are considered timeless classics. What once shocked audiences has become an important part of music history. So here is a question for you. If these songs were released today, do you think they would survive modern moderation systems? Let us know in the comments. And do not forget to like, subscribe, and join us for more Retro Rewind countdowns.
If I leave
to be able to pick out the easy meat.